What's up, guys? Rob Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com, and we are going to talk some March Madness strategy. Yes, the time of year is here. You're going to be filling out a bunch of brackets, you and your friends, your coworkers, maybe some of these larger pools where you can win some serious cash. And we're going to go over 5 easy tips that you can use to fill out a better bracket, or at least go with the strategy of filling out a better bracket depending on the contest that you're in. As always, before we get going, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Everything's absolutely free here on the channel. Everything we do at the Lines is absolutely free, so really do appreciate your support in that. Like this video, and then give us a comment in the section below and let us know, who are you picking for the Final Four? Who do you have coming out? And who do you think is eventually going to win the whole thing? So you see right here, we are on the Lines homepage here. First and foremost, you can see March Madness tab up here, game previews, and there it is. Boom. Just every game preview you need. Of course, you'll just go to the second page, the third page. I'm not going to do that for you, but again, you can go through and get the game previews of every single one of these games. Up here underneath this as well is bracket contests, which takes you to this page right here. You can scroll down and you can see DraftKings is running a huge one with $1 million prize pool. BetMGM is running a huge one with a $2 million prize pool. Another couple win at DraftKings, and of course the Yahoo and ESPN ones as well. But resource in here as to those bracket contests and what they're all about and how much money you can win and stuff like that. So be sure and use that again, just under the tab up there for that. And then of course, finally, you can hit this and hit bracket and hit NCAA tournament odds. And then it takes you to this handy dandy page right here where there's actually a bracket. And with that, you can see the odds on the teams in bracket form, which is pretty cool. So let's get to the first tip here, guys. First and foremost, know the rules of your pool. This is huge whenever you are starting out to fill out your bracket. Is it just a standard deal where you get 1 point for every correct pick you make, and at the end, whoever has the most correct picks wins? Or is there escalators for each round? You know, whenever you go, is round 1 worth whatever the guy who's making the pool determines? And then is round 2 worth 2x that, and round 3 worth 3x that? Or maybe it's just, plus 5 points for second round, plus 10 points for the third round, whatever it might be. Be sure and know the rules when it comes to that. Also, are there upset bonuses in your pool? So, if a 10 beats a 7, are you getting 10 points as opposed to just the 1 point for the win in the first round? Whatever your guy decides, whoever's setting up your pool, be sure you understand the rules as you go to fill these things out, because again, that can change the strategy as to how you go about filling out all of your brackets. Number 2, what we want to do is assess the size of our pool. And the reason that this is important, if you are in a pool that only has a handful of people, and when I say a handful, let's call it 25, 30, something like that or less, you will be much more chalky in this pool than you would in one where, let's talk about, one of these big media companies where there could be hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of people in the bracket pool. And the reason for this is because if you are in one with hundreds of thousands or million people or something like that, you got to get a little bit creative if you actually want a chance to win, because the likelihood of your chalky bracket being duplicated somewhere along the way is much, much higher in one of those type of contests. Now, different scenario when you're in a contest that has, much fewer people in it. When you have one of those, you do want to be a little bit more chalky, because what'll happen more times than not as well, and if anyone that's been in one with a bunch of people for the same amount of years know this as well, is there's a lot of people who get very, very cute when filling out these brackets. And so what you want to do in the smaller pool is stick to picking the games that you actually think people are going to win, not necessarily the ones that you think could win. And then that would help boost me along the way. So just think about that. The people get a little bit more crazy in March Madness time. Typically, people like to pick favorites, except when it comes to March Madness. People love to pick underdogs. And so when you're filling out your bracket in one of these smaller pools, be sure that you keep that in mind and stay a little bit chalkier. Number 3, try to assess if there's any bias in your pool. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you've been in a pool for, let's call it the last 5 or 6 years, and you start to realize you're in a pool with a bunch of grads from a certain college. Let's take me, for example. I've been in a pool for 20 years with my buddies, and they're all LSU grads. All grew up in Louisiana, all LSU grads. Well, as we see over here in this bracket, right, if we take a look, I don't have to scroll very far to show you right here, this 8-9, LSU versus St. Bonaventure. It's an 8-9 where LSU is only a 1-point favorite as it is anyway. How many people in that bracket do you think are going to be picking St. Bonaventure? Nobody, except for me, because I'm going to try to win this pool, and in a game that's only a 1-point spread as it is anyway, basically a coin flip, and I'm going to be getting so much leverage on the rest of the pool because I'm picking against the team that I know everybody within the pool loves. Now, that could be one of it. Are you in with a bunch of college buddies? Number two, with your work buddies, are you just in a city, right, that really, really loves their team or really has a good chance of going far? For example, say you're doing this pool in Chicago right now. Well, Illinois is a 1 seed. Illinois is a very popular pick here, and not necessarily even that everyone you're in the pool with is necessarily an Illinois grad, but they're just excited about the fact that Illinois is good. You live within the state. They have a good chance of making it to the Final Four. They have a good chance of making a run at the whole thing. Well, you could take that and use that information to your advantage and pick against Illinois somewhere along the way to where they don't make it to the Final Four or have them losing in the Final Four, whatever it might be, to differentiate your pool from the other people that you're in. The other thing that you could do is is there any sort of regional bias? Is there any sort of team that somebody won't, that people won't pick? Maybe you're in a pool with a bunch of people that hate a certain conference or hate a certain team. They can't stand, Oklahoma. They can't stand the Tennessee Volunteers, or over here, they can't stand Michigan. You know that they're going to pick against Michigan no matter what at their very first opportunity. Well, you could use that information again to advance Michigan a little bit further. So see if there's any bias within your pool, be it for a team or against a team, for a region or against a region, whatever it might be, and help you make a little bit more unique of a bracket and also help you increase your win chances against those people. Number 4, assess how bet savvy your group is. And, this isn't something you're going to be able to figure out if you're in one of these massive pools with hundreds of thousands of people. But if you're in one with a little bit smaller people, see if you can assess if there are any bettors in that pool or just how bet savvy those people are. And the reason I say this is because a lower seed might actually be a favorite in a game. We actually have that this year. You don't have to go very far. You scroll right down right here, and you can take a look at Clemson and Rutgers. You can see that Clemson, the 7 seed, is actually a 1-point dog in this game. So you could head to the number 6 seed, the number 6 seed, 11 seed right here, even in this same region. Look, San Diego State and Syracuse. San Diego State's the 6, Syracuse the 11. They're only a 3-point favorite, 2.5-point favorite at some books as well. So you can use your betting savvy, your betting information, to help you make better picks as you're trying to pick some of these upsets along the way. If you are trying to be a little bit different, go ahead and look at these point spreads and use them to your advantage and find out if there's any way that they can help you, guide you towards any sort of pick one way or another. I mean, if we take a look a little bit further down here as well, I mean, of course, the 5-12s are always super popular for people to pick an upset, but you see this 5-12 matchup is only a 5-point spread. Now, that does put Colorado as a decent little favorite. However, it is by far, not by far, but it is the shortest of all of the 5-12s. So just use the point spread to your advantage as you're going through. Here's another 7-10 with only a 3-point spread. So just use that. And again, if you're in a pool that people aren't very bet savvy, that is going to be a huge, huge advantage to you as you're filling out your bracket. And finally here, guys, number 5 on the tips to make your bracket a little bit better is, as we talked about. Now, you do want to get creative somewhere along the way. You do certainly want to get creative. Now, that said, even if you're in one of these massive pools, right? Even if you're in one of these huge, huge, huge pools, the closer you get to the end, tighten it up just a tad. And the reason I say this is because the last 20 years of Final Fours, the last 20 Final Fours, I should say, we didn't have a Final Four last year. The last 20 Final Fours, there's been at least one number one seed in 17 of the 20 Final Fours. There's been at least two, either one or two seeds in 16 of the last 20. And if you go to the last 20 Final Fours, that's 80 teams. 46 of the 80 have been either one or two seeds. So well over half of them have been either one or two seeds. So basically where I'm going with this is if you end up here at the end and you've got your Final Four teams, but you've got 3 4s and a 5, 2 5s, 2 3s, whatever it might be, then you're doing it wrong. Statistically anyway, because 1s and 2s make it to the Final Four. At least one of them, and a lot of times two of them. At least 2 1s or 2s in 16 of the last 20 Final Fours. So something to think about whenever you're getting towards the end here is you tighten it up a little bit and don't go too incredibly crazy. Because if you have a super wacky Final Four, you're likely going to have teams that didn't make it to the Final Four. Guys, as always, go ahead and like this video. Let us know in the comments your Final Four, who you have winning it all, just so you know. I have a fairly chalky bracket this year, and this is strictly because of what I saw all year long. I've got Gonzaga making the Final Four. I've got Baylor making the Final Four. That being said, I don't know. I think that they might be the most vulnerable somewhere along the way. I have Illinois, so I have 3 1 seeds making it to the Final Four. The only difference here, I have Alabama coming out of the East as a Final Four team. Alabama shoots the 3 super well, plays at such an incredibly high pace. Now, if they're off one night, they certainly have the chance to get blown out, but if they can just string together a few good games here, they can give anybody a ton of trouble with the way that they shoot and the pace that they play at. So again, I have Alabama, Illinois, Baylor, and Gonzaga in my Final Four. Go ahead and give us a like on this, guys, again, and let us know in the comments how you were going to play this thing, and let us know if there's any upsets that you think are dead set to happen here. We love to see these upsets. I'm sure you're going to be picking some 12s over 5s, some maybe even some 13s over some 4s. So let us know in that comments as well. And then go ahead and subscribe to the page. Again, everything we do is absolutely free. Good luck in all of your March Madness bracket contests.